What is up, plant community? It's that time of year again where we get these traditional little trees. Well, they became traditional. Anywho, so I wanted to talk about these Norfolk Island pines and general care of them. They're outside right now because it's actually been warm enough to keep them outside. Hasn't been too bad out here. But anywho, the general care of the Norfolk Island pines. They like temperatures up to 60 degrees to 80 degrees in that range. They like lots of humidity. They like to stay pretty moist, but when they start developing more of a trunk and stop really looking like seedlings, they don't really need as much water anymore as they start to develop. And you'll kind of notice that. You'll be able to determine that whenever they get more and more older. Um, During the summer, they can take direct sunlight. I've had mine in direct sunlight, but of course, if they've been inside, you want to slowly acclimate them to taking direct sunlight, or you can get a bit of a scorch on them, which is something you definitely want to avoid. Um, you wanna, you don't want to fertilize during the winter. Really, you want to take away a lot of that fertilization and only fertilize them during the spring and summer. The lowest temps that the Norfolk Island pine tree can take is all the way down to 35 degrees. Anything lower than that, then they are really going to hurt for you. Now, ways you can ensure humidity is you can go by and mist them with a mister for some good humidity. Another thing you can do is you can put a pebble tray on the bottom, and that will certainly help with the humidity. Don't put them by any place where your dry heat is coming out of, because what will happen is your leaves will start to look kind of brown like that. And when they get brown like that, that's never good. Only they'll be more of a darker, drier foliage, and they won't be a soft needle like these guys are. And they'll really kind of hurt. Since they are a tree, it is good to wind up giving them direct sun eventually because they need it. They will need it, especially if you want strong branching. During the winter, it's always the hardest to keep them because you gotta keep them away from dry heat, which most of us get during the winter time. We use a lot of dry heat. You can make the room more humid for them by adding in a humidifier of some sort. So that will definitely help them out. Don't keep them by a fireplace. They won't do good in a fireplace. Well, not in, but next by a fireplace. That'll dry out the foliage and that'll also harm them. Um, Another thing you don't want to do is when you get temps, and this can happen here too, even right now, is if you get temps to where it's going to get lower than 35 degrees and you know you're going to get snow and ice. I mean, heck, even when you get to 40 to 35 degrees, you can still kind of get some snow and ice. You want to take them in. You don't want to leave them out. That could damage them. I used to, I would see a lot of people where they would just kind of treat them as Christmas trees, bring them outside, leave them out during the winter. Don't do that unless they are in a tip like it is right now. Like right now, it's going to get up to 50 degrees today, which is still kind of chilly. And when you slowly acclimate them into that type of cold, you want to bring them in when they're dropping down to the 30s, but that's more for spring. Um, if you keep them out all year long, they'll be just fine, long as the tips don't drop too low for them, like I said. Um, yeah, otherwise than that, I say that's really about it. Just keep them misted. Oh, lighting. I almost forgot about lighting. So when it comes to lighting, if you don't have grow lights or anything to supplement the lighting through winter, what you can do is you can do what I'm doing when the temperatures get warm enough, you can bring them outside. That's one way of doing it. That's going to guarantee a healthier and stronger tree. Or you could put them by a window, which I'll show you that real quick. You can put them by a window where they get more direct sun. So these are more of what I would call the seedling starts or cutting starts, which they're not the best looking. How you can tell when your Norfolk Island pine is not looking so great is you can really look at the foliage. So this at the end is new foliage. Notice how much lighter green that is than the dark green up here. That's new. This is old. So what will happen is if you don't get your Norfolk Island pine good lighting, what will happen is the foliage will actually begin to elongate and look scraggly, which is not good. That is not a sign of a healthy tree. You can actually wind up losing a lot of your Norfolk Island pines like that. And I'm just rehabbing these for a friend right now because she got them and she had like originally 2 bundles of them. So, like, when you usually get them, they're usually in a bundle of 3 trees. And you can separate those. Don't let them grow together, because if they grow together, they don't get. They wind up entangling with each other, and I notice that they wind up choking each other. I find it best when you separate them in groups of 2 or even one single tree. It helps them, in my opinion, develop way more better. And helps them develop strongly. And you don't have to worry about repotting as quickly either, because they're just one single tree. Anywho, yeah, the elongated foliage is never good. If you notice your foliage is getting darker than the lighter green, that's not good either. That means you want to move them to a window that is receiving more direct sunlight, which is what they need and what they would naturally get in the wild. Now, if your windows stay fairly warm, you can kind of keep them up against a window. Just make sure the foliage ain't touching like this guy kind of is here. If you got it, say if you're in a climate like a zone 5 and you got problem with airflow and it gets drafty and all that by the window and it gets really cold, I would not recommend putting them right up against the window. I would actually recommend taking them a little bit further away from the window and giving them a setting where it's more a direct sun, or even supplementing it with a grow light. But yeah, this is not what you want to see on your Norfolk Island pines, is that long elongated growth. What you do want to see, we'll go back out here real quick. What you do want to see is more of the lighter, tight growth like this. That means your tree is perfectly healthy. Now, even though my tree has a bit of damage, it's holding on to its branches, and the other ones are looking fairly good. Now, you will get some brown tipping like that. That's all right. That's normal. That just means that you're overdoing it with water, which you can tell by that branch. I may have been overdoing it with this guy, or you're underwatering. So you got to figure that out. They're kind of tricky in a way. You gotta really understand what you're doing in order to keep these guys alive and happy through the winter. And when you do, and you keep them alive, they make excellent Christmas trees when they get bigger and they get older and they have more branches. Just as I always say, don't put nothing on the top, because that's where the new growth is going to come. I would recommend a bow or something you could wrap around, so that way the new growth could continue to push out. Otherwise than that, that's really about all I got to say about the Norfolk Island pine trees. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it educational. Give me a like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. And hope you guys have a good rest of the day.